Hello, I think we're on. This is Brendan, and we're going to have a look at an illustration. This is part 1 of 10 of a Greek Mythology series of illustrations I'm working on. Something to keep me busy in between work and fun and all that. You got to keep drawing, right? It's sort of a creative bug, I guess, that some of us have, where we just keep making things. And as you know, many people come to this channel because they want to learn tips on GIMP. So I'm going to have a look at this illustration. It's already kind of done, but also give you some tips on how to use GIMP. I originally intended to do a lot of this live, not really live, but to record it, and that didn't work out because I had some technical difficulties, to say the least. But anyway, back in action now. I have a new mini studio set up in a small room here. I apologize for any echo. I'm working on that. We got to fill. Apparently, if you put some paintings on the walls and a rug on the floor, it helps to diminish the echo. But it's a new apartment and unfurnished, so I gotta gotta do that. Let's have a look. I did want to show you. I had to get a new tablet too, out of all of the technical difficulties I have. So part of the reason. I want you to see me. That's why I put the whole camera thing up here. And, it's nice to see people a little bit when you hear them talking sometimes. So here, you're going to judge. It's very small. That's one of the things I wanted to, sorry to hit the mic there. One of the things I want to point out is that it's actually very small. Compare it to the size of my hand here. I'm doing everything backwards, sorry. But you can see it's just quite small. And I wasn't happy about that. I wanted the bigger one. I think I can't remember how much it was. It was less than $100. I had to pay a little bit more for it to get it fast, and it does the trick. It comes with a little pen. It's actually simpler than the older versions. They seem to have gotten everything down to a science, and I know what people want. It's not as clunky. It's more, how to say, streamlined and. Yeah, it's just minimalist, very simple, and it works. I plugged it in and it worked, which is exactly the reason I had to get another one. The other one just stopped working. There was some kind of driver update, and the other one just doesn't work anymore. So, but I found that it really doesn't matter, because a lot of people ask me this. First of all, how do you do these illustrations that you do? Some people don't know. You don't understand it all. So, this is the tablet, and as you can see, it has a wire. You can also do wireless, but they didn't have that component. And you can put in a wireless thing, so you don't need this, but I don't know, it's just an extra $50 to spend. I'd rather not. And then it comes with this pen. You can't use any pen. You have to use the pen that comes with it. And it has a special kind of tip that detects when you're on here. Since you're looking at the screen there, you can see the mouse moving even. That's what this is what it is. That's the device. And for those of you who already have one, or you're looking to shop for one, and you always have the question, how big one should I get? Well, this is the smallest size, I believe. There could be one just a bit smaller. I wouldn't recommend that. But this is fine, because when you go to draw anyway, are you using your whole arm like this, caveman style? I mean, it's a wrist motion is most important in this situation. And those of you who do draw with your elbow a lot, I guess you might want a bigger one, and that's not uncommon. If you grew up doing traditional media a lot, then you might prefer that. That's okay. But I use my wrist mostly, and you would think well, it's smaller, so what about when I want to do big things like this? Well, then you zoom out or you zoom in as needed to do details. I just I don't find anything wrong with it. You're gonna have to zoom in and out a lot anyway. So that's that. And I just, I put the camera of me in the background while, I can still pop it up sometimes. But I'll just put that in the background for now as we look at this illustration real quick, and I'll give you a few tips. A lot of people who gave feedback, I put this up on DeviantArt, and there's a group there called Project Comment, where you're pretty much guaranteed to get some feedback. And so some of the feedback I got was good job on the detail. Some people kind of criticized the detail of the sand. I don't know. I'm not really expecting people to zoom in like this close, where obviously If you do that, then the foot doesn't look like a foot anymore. But I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting screen size, as a digital illustration. And if you were to print it, I also wouldn't want it to be printed this big. Because let's say, for example, if I zoom in, this monitor is probably about 1.5 feet wide that I'm using. So let me see. Yeah. But just a little bit bigger than a foot. So if we're to zoom in this close, that means that this would be like 2 feet wide. And that's just good enough. As you can see here, let me get the red pen so easier to see. You see here a detail like the foot. I don't really, right about here, 2 feet wide would be the biggest print size I would go for. Because even at that, if you're that close and you come up close to it, I don't expect people to be staring at that toe, really. It's an action scene, and so little things like that will happen. But yeah, the point of this was something I had to clarify in the beginning. This is the first of 10 in the Greek myth series, and if you read up on some Greek myths, I found they had these 6-armed men that Jason and the Argonauts had to fight in order to rid them from this island. They were like a pest that they needed to get rid of. So I'm having problems with dragging and dropping here. I don't know why. I probably have memory issues because I have too much going on. So this is basically the main guy right here. He's supposed to be one of the focus points of attention. I spent pretty good amount of time making sure that at least this guy was detailed and, looked the way that I wanted him to look. I looked online at other people's attempts to draw this 6-armed guy because there's no official ancient Greek documentation, or there's documentation, but not like existing artwork of what they're supposed to look like. They were just myths, and I guess they were in writing, or if they did have like statues of these guys, I don't know, maybe they're gone. They're just not there anymore. So that was, for this one. And then, for number 2, number 3, number 4, the following upcoming illustrations, I'll choose a different Greek myth story or character to focus on. Another one of the criticisms I had was that these guys back here, they're not so far away that they should be so blurry. That's fine. That's a good, when I say fine, I mean that's a good criticism there. Something perhaps to work upon. And I might work on this a little bit more. And that's about it. So again, just to give you, an overall view of the whole thing. I suppose if I put it right about here, I might not do video editing in this video because, I'm deciding whether or not to pay for all that software again. It's quite expensive. So, as you can see, and someone else pointed out, which is good, that there's a lot of focus, your eye being brought in these main areas here. And you can see that even the spears and the sword here and the direction of the guy, it's all coming around towards that, one area. And even the way that these guys are coming from the background to here. So that was intentional. That's what I wanted. Although he is the main character over here, I wanted him to be off to the side a bit so that we could fit, so much more action in all of this area here. But I also didn't want him, to be just off to the side. So I used the energy of everything to sort of flow towards him. And that's the composition decision that I had to make. And then I guess some things just with a detail for using GIMP is you might want to know how to make this glow effect. Well, one technique is to obviously get white, bring the opacity down a little bit, and I'm on the right layer here. This is the characters layer. Again, you can see also I have things on like separate layers and stuff, the shadows and this and that. So I try to keep it below 7 layers. When you get up to 10, 20 layers, not only is it more confusing to work with, and probably unnecessary, but it also takes up a lot of memory, slows down computer, stuff like that. So, yeah, with this here, you can just raise the size of the pen, as I'm doing over here on the left. And I think I have, that'll bring your attention over there. If I hit the control key. So I'm over here in this area. And, just raise the size of the pen really big, and then just dash, 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 push down, a few times to make that glow effect. Because I lowered the opacity, right? You can even go lower. So let's say, for example, there's something else shiny. Like this guy here, if you zoom in, you see he has like a metal brace on his head. So let's say there's a reflection on that, right? So I just hit the canvas a few times and it'll go like that. Well, I overdid it there. Let's go back a few steps. You just go one time, just like that, right? And then you can go into the burn and dodge tool, right? So I'm over here now. And you can see down here we have dodge. And then I'll hit highlights. So I'm going to dodge the highlights. And the exposure is set to 15. And let's see what happens when we do that. I'll hit it a few times. And see how that makes this really shiny shine? It even like shines this whole head because I have the brush set to a very high setting. So yeah, I'm going to undo all that. And let's play with that like in a different area to see again what it does. Let's try it right here. The brush size is still very, very big. I'll bring it down a little bit. So see, if I stroke it again and again and again, the more you stroke it, eventually the inside part, it just becomes pure white. And of course, I'm doing it with a soft brush right now. If you look, over here, I'm using the softest brush available. So it'll be the centermost part that gets white. And what happens with this effect is the outside area of that white spot, it sort of adds a color to it. It adds some saturation. It makes it look like it's burnt or like glowing. It's an effect which I cannot achieve, or would be a lot harder to achieve just by using brushes. So using that dodge tool can really help to make this these types of like shine effects and stuff like that. So that's one good tip for that metallic stuff. A really handy tip here for doing all the texture on the leaves and stuff like this here. Just recently I started using this more. I didn't realize what a handy tip it is. But let's say, for example, I'll choose some green here, and get a more regular brush size. I'm going to try and make something that looks like a 3-prong leaf. And then all I'm going to do is select it, and I'm going to copy. So I just did Control C, or you could go up to the Edit menu and select Copy in there. And when you copy it, notice over here, now it's in. You see that little green spot there? It's actually in the brush menu now. So let me delete what I drew and get rid of that selection. So now I can actually make a brush, and when I stroke my brush, every time, let me make the brush size bigger. Every time I touch the canvas now, it'll make another leaf. So that's really handy because now I can just draw a whole bunch of leaves like that. But I don't want them all in the same position. So I get back, and over here, yeah, see, I probably will need to get the software because I should zoom in so that you guys can see this stuff a lot better. This is kind of small. Over here we have the angle, right? So in the tool options, right over here, tool options, we have the angle here. So I can change the angle, right? So if I put it over this way, it starts leaning towards the left a bit. And if I put it down there, then yeah, you can see it starts going to the right. Now, in addition to those few tricks right there, I made a custom brush called, I can't teach that today, but random angle. So now when I draw, every time I hit it, it goes on another angle. Now, so you see it's one step at a time first. But after you know how to do this, it's like you just go click, 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 and you're ready to start, drawing random leaves like that. And you can apply jitter so that they will, move around randomly like that. But I didn't really want too much of that type of randomness because usually leaves are like pointing down with gravity, right? So let's say we did something like just play with the angle a little bit and make a few of them like this, like a patch. So there's like one shooting off a bit to the left, one going down a bit like that. And then I can go in and actually, you need to do this in an open space, by the way. Like over here, you do it on a new layer or something. But over here, I happen to know this area is blank, so I'm just using that. So let's do that again. Go like this, 1, 2. Just make like angle like this, and then I'll select it again, And now I'll copy that one, and that becomes my new brush, as you can see over here in the, in that area there, in the brush selection box. So now I can undo that, get rid of those, and now my brush will make that thing every time I draw it. So let's take that and put the angle, you can reset it, and now I can just start making, leaves like this, and play with the angle a little bit, kind of randomize them. And so, this doesn't look beautiful, I'm just demonstrating here. But if you see how I did that and how quick and easy, I'm talking a lot, if you're just working, you can set that up very quickly. So with that in mind, zoom in close here and you can see, that's basically what I did. I used a little bit of jitter, I had some very small leaves, I would copy them, and they're dark, as you see there, and I'd, make a bunch of those. Then on top of the darker leaves, I'd make lighter ones, and then more lighter ones, and I would change, do new shape of leaf every once in a while and just kind of randomize it a bit. So using those tools, jitter and making a new brush on the fly, and even the way that it maintains the color even and everything is really handy. So you can just whip up a new brush real quick and make some foliage like that. Really, really good trick. So this is these guys are called the Gegenees, by the way. It might be I probably should have said that first. It's either Gegenees or Gegenees. They're not real anyway. Nobody ever talks about them. They're 6-armed guys who had to, get their butts whipped by Jason and the Argonauts. And with Jason and the Argonauts was Hercules, who in Greek times was actually called Heracles or Heracles. I can't pronounce it. I don't know. But Hercules in English. So the Romans took Hercules and made him into their own. So. But the original Greek version was like this. And so I imagine that up here, this area, that this guy right here is actually Hercules. So if you see, he's a little bit stronger looking, and apparently he was using a bow at the time to shoot at these guys. So that's another reason I did that. I did my research. And the boats are called triremes. This is all stuff I looked up. I tried to make the building back here so it looked Greco-Roman style. And I looked at photos of Greek islands and beaches and stuff to choose the colors and make this design here. So that's about it. I don't want this video to get too long. As much fun as I'm having, got to keep it brief. And hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, let me know. Always be sure to visit my website, BSCHU, that's short for Brendan Schumacher, bschu.net, not .com, it's .net. And if you guys can subscribe and like the channel, we have more coming up. I try to release these videos. I can't say when. Things are very fast-paced in my life and random, but I do release at ordinary Eastern Standard Time these days because I used to do these late-night videos, and I saw people unsubscribing. They were probably getting notifications in the middle of the night. But yeah, I'm trying to do regular, release it 8, 9 o'clock, early mornings when I upload, so you can hit that notification bell if you want to get notified of upcoming stuff. I will be doing 9 more of these Greek illustrations with various themes, including all kinds of monsters and creatures and gods and stuff. And after that series of 10, there's going to be another series and another and another. I keep learning new things, and I'll keep sharing it with you. So yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. Hope you're having a good day. And if you have like-minded friends who are interested in this stuff, please share. And that's about it. Have a good day. See you later.